Macros, Mindset, and Muscles.
I'm Coach James.
And I'm Coach Brittany.
We're here to give you the truth about health and fitness.
No gimmicks, no bullshit, just facts. What's up, Phoenix fam?
Oh, we started over? Like completely over?
Yes.
We're back.
All right. So we actually just recorded like 3 minutes of this, and then my phone rang. I forgot to put on airplane mode, so we had to start all over.
I didn't know we were starting over, but here we are.
So
welcome back.
Here we are. You didn't even know that we were gone. It's crazy.
It's awesome. It's awesome. We got a great topic today, though.
Yeah, like every week, it's always a great topic.
Always a great topic.
Never a bad one. But really, we get inspired by things that, we see asked in our Facebook group, we come across on social media, maybe our clients ask a question, and that's where we pull like inspiration for episode topics.
Yeah, a lot of times it's like, hey, look at this BS I just saw on social media. We need to talk about this.
Yeah, and then I'll be like, hey, if you only knew how many notes I have in my phone, it's ridiculous. I have an insane amount of notes in my phone. So I'll start a new note every time I find different topics, and then I'll start doing a list of topics, and then that list gets buried because more stuff comes up, and then another list will happen. You've seen my notes, right?
It's extensive.
There's a stupid amount of notes in there. I probably have notes with like workouts that I wrote clients like back in like my beginning days. Let's see.
She's tapping.
Yeah.
Tapping.
2017 is my oldest note.
Wow.
I know. I need to go through that.
I don't even know. Shoot. I was on a flip phone in 2017, girl. I didn't get all scientific until the 2000s, you know.
Scientific.
Yeah. But anyway, we have a great topic today. Tell them about it, Brittany.
I would love to, James. Thanks. Thanks for giving me that.
Yeah.
I was going to say it anyways, but whatever.
Whatever.
So we're actually going to tell y'all today how to lose weight in the fastest way possible.
That's the best way, fastest.
Isn't that what everybody wants? Is like, yes, I want to drop 10 pounds like tomorrow.
Yeah, 100 pounds in 3 weeks.
Yeah. So we're going to hop in here. We're going to talk about this. We're going to give you all of our tips, tricks, and secrets to losing weight as fast as possible.
Fast.
It might shock you.
It's going to shock you.
Totally shocking.
And it's for free, too.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, all right, let's hop into this. First of all, we want to start by talking about, popular crash diets and stuff and how, it's really enticing to see something, a new diet program or plan or, even certain like over the counter fat burners and stuff. They'll be like, oh, if you do this plan, you'll lose 20 pounds in 4 weeks. Or if you take these fat burners, you can lose up to 60 pounds in 30 days or whatever.
Or fasting for 72 hours straight.
Yeah. So we're going to just talk about,
which one's best?
The sexy things, right? With these diets, with these new plans, these shiny new things that come up in front of you, you immediately are drawn to it because in your brain, you're like, oh, I need to lose 30 pounds. If I did that program and I lost 20 pounds in 4 weeks, like I would be 10 pounds away from my goal weight.
I'd like that.
Your goal, quote unquote, your goal weight.
Right, because that brings happiness.
Well, it does bring happiness. But do you know why it brings happiness?
Because you like numbers?
Because I like numbers. No. It brings happiness because we've talked about this in many episodes. But why do people have a goal weight?
A false belief in what they will look like at a specific weight.
I'm so glad you're here.
Yeah, I had a good teacher.
I have to say you had the best teacher. Anyways, people have a goal weight in mind because with that goal weight, they think, oh, if I get to X amount of pounds, then I'll look this certain way. Even though they might not say that out loud, in their brain, they have this vision of what they will look like at that weight.
Yeah, they have this body image they've associated to a numerical body weight measurement.
And maybe it's not even like necessarily like a specific look. Maybe they're like, oh, if I get to that weight, I'll be a certain size in clothing or, anything like that.
Yeah, get to this special weight and all my life problems are gone and I'm filled with joy and it never rains anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't work like that.
What?
So we're actually here to tell you that the fastest way to lose weight is the slow way
to
losing weight. And I'm going to go into detail about why. I'm not going to just leave you with that. So when you do these crash diets or these programs that promise you fast results, you know, do they get you those results? Yes, but it depends on how you define results. Like, do you want short-term results so that you can be like, yeah, I lost 20 pounds in 4 weeks, and then 4 weeks later you're back up 30 pounds? No. Like, you don't want that. Like, you want results that last. You want results that stick around so that you don't have to feel that way anymore, right?
Yeah.
Like, the goal is to if you have 30 pounds to lose, it's to lose 30 pounds and keep it off. It's not to lose it, gain it, lose it, gain it, lose it, gain it.
Ugh.
Which is what most people do. They yo-yo diet. They do extremes. They hop off. They go back to living life the way they've always lived. And then bam, next thing you know, they're up 35 pounds instead of 30. And they're like, oh, now I got to lose 35 pounds. And it's a vicious cycle. And then before you know it, you have 80 pounds to lose.
Yes.
Yeah.
You just covered so much ground. I'm just like, yeah, go girl, get it. Tell
Well, I can say this because I've been there.
Yeah.
If you don't know me, which many of our listeners do know me, they know my story. I was obese. At my highest weight ever, I was 226 pounds. I'm 5'2", or on a good day, 5'3". Just depends on who's measuring, I guess.
Charge it up. It's 5'2", ladies and gentlemen.
So it's like saying you're 6 foot and you're 5'11" and a half.
Yeah. Every guy's over 6 foot.
Anyways.
I am over 6 foot, by the way.
I've been there, I've done that. I was that person, and I would find myself in the same type of struggle as I'd lose weight only to gain it all back and then some, and, lose and gain back. And, you just, even though you lose some weight initially in that extremes, you end up gaining back what you lost and then a few more pounds. So you never actually get ahead, and you always get further away from your goals.
Yes, the unobtainable goal.
The unobtainable goal, the thing that makes it so, like, it's like a unicorn.
Yeah, the unicorn. I like it.
Like, you dream of this goal of yours, and maybe it's a goal weight, maybe it's a certain, like physique, like appearance, whatever. But you never really get close to it because you just push yourself further and further away by the extreme shit that you do.
Well, we just got deep. I'm in some reflections over here.
I need you to focus.
No, I'm deep in it though. It's kind of like that. You'll never be as big as your pump. The quote, like, you'll never be, because as soon as you are that size,
that sounds like a gym bro thing.
Then your pump is now bigger, and you're like, oh, I want to get that big all the time. And when you are, you just never can be. You can't get it. The pump. The pump.
So you can tell James is off in his own little world today.
Oh, got some clarity going.
No, but seriously, we're, talking about how the extremes just put you further away from your goal. And the reason why is because when you do these extreme programs, you do extreme things, you cut out whole food groups or macronutrient groups, or maybe you do an excessive amount of cardio, you eat such a low amount of calories that it's just not a sustainable practice. Does it
stimulants? And
does it work? Does it work short term? To an extent, maybe. Yeah. But the problem comes is that you don't create these habits that you can stick with. So if you are doing nothing now and you go balls to the wall and all of a sudden you're working out 7 days a week, you're doing cardio for an hour, 7 days a week, like, of course you're going to drop because you went from doing nothing to now you're doing like 1,000% more than you were doing. And, your body is like, whoa, okay, we're expending a lot of energy here. Like, we're burning a lot of calories. We don't really have those calories to burn. So we pull it from our fat stores and you start burning fat. But the problem is that eventually you're going to get burnt out and you're going to stop doing that. Your body will burn fat initially, but then eventually it's going to be like, whoa, okay, our energy output has like lessened, so we can burn less calories now. Yeah. Which slows down fat loss, or maybe even puts you in a calorie surplus because you're not burning as much as you were before. So, the extreme stuff doesn't keep you going long term. No. And fat loss itself, the process of being like in a calorie deficit, isn't a long-term solution because you shouldn't be dieting. You shouldn't be in a calorie deficit long term. Like your body doesn't want to be in a deficit. Your body wants to survive famine and, you know, make
Yeah.
it to the next meal,
Right.
whatever that may be. Like it, it it's
It-
not meant to be in a state of dieting. It's meant to function optimally,
right.
and your body processes your hormones, your ladies, your period, fellas, your sex drive, libido, like all that stuff. Like your body depends on the energy that you bring in. So if you stop bringing in the energy, aka the calories, then those processes don't function optimally, and maybe they even shut down to an extent.
Right. Your body's not going to prioritize breeding and reproduction when it's trying to just survive, basically.
Yeah.
You're talking about the extremes. You remember the show, The Biggest Loser?
Yes.
You know, and if you see a lot of these contestants, because they go to these extremes, they go from their normal everyday life, and all of a sudden now they're isolated and they have coaches and trainers and they're working out multiple times a day, and then they're in a severe calorie deficit, and it's just hardcore extreme. And they have some amazing results, but then as soon as they leave and they return to their life, they learn no kind of balance.
Yeah, and they've talked about that too, like how most of the people who have gone through like The Biggest Loser, like there's been very few that have actually been able to maintain those type of results because they revert back to the habits that
Right. They go back to
that
their
they
normal
know.
life. They have to go back to work. They're
Yeah.
going to go back to being a dad, or a
Back to
mom.
that environment that
Back
put
into
them in that position in the first place. It's just like people like I'm gonna totally go on a little tangent here, but it's like people like drug addicts or, people who are in prison, right? Like being like
you're a product of your environment.
you are a product of your environment. If are a drug addict and you get sober, but then you go back into the same environment that had you, surrounded by drugs and, people who were doing those things and encouraging those things, like you're more likely to relapse.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. Like if a felon commits a crime, they go to prison, they get out, and then they go right back to where they were before because, like that's what they know,
Right.
then they're more likely to return to the same lifestyle.
Yeah.
And it's the same type of idea here.
You go
Just
to the barber shop often enough, eventually you're going to get a haircut.
just
Boom.
anyways, it's the same product, like it's the same idea here. It's just a different environment. We're talking about like habits, lifestyles, things like that, but you are a product of your environment.
Yeah.
If you don't change your environment, then you don't change necessarily, Um, it makes it that much harder. I won't say that you can't change. It just makes it harder.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. Like, you have to change. Like, you can't be a product of your environment. Like, I know, like, so changing where things that you do and the people you're around and how, or like way you eat, like, if you're going with people that are going to go to all you can eat fried buffets and you're trying to be on you know, on a journey, that's probably not the best idea to be going to a buffet.
Yeah.
Like, anyway.
So when you're trying to lose weight, you have to think about long term too. You can't just think about what you want right now. Like, does what you want right now matter? Yeah, absolutely. But you have like blinders on. You're only seeing like what's in front of you. You're not seeing the big picture. So if you can't see the big picture, then what you're doing right now isn't going to matter
Yeah.
because in a month, a year, 2 years, whatever, like whatever the time frame is, like you're going to be back where you are.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to look at the big picture and think about the long-term changes. And if you think about healthy fat loss, it's about a pound a week. Is on average about a pound a week. Some weeks might be more, some might be less, but it averages out to be about a pound a week, maybe even half a pound a week. If you lost a half a pound to 1 pound a week for a year, that's 26 to 52 pounds a year, right?
It's huge.
Would you be disappointed if from a year, if you have weight to lose, if you have body fat to lose, if you're sitting here right now and a year from now, you were down 26 to 52 pounds, would you be disappointed? I can guarantee you that you wouldn't.
I would be, no. I know if I was trying to gain size, like if I put on 5, 10 pounds of muscle, like I'd be tickled death in a year. Like, wow, it's awesome.
That's what I'm saying. Like the long term stuff, like in a year, like you're like, oh, like half a pound a week. That's not fast enough. Like I want to lose 4 pounds a week. Like that's not
Well,
how fat loss works. If you're
no,
losing 4 pounds a week and you're not morbidly obese, okay, let's go over this. Like obviously, if you are like a certain level of body fat, like you have more weight to lose, like you will drop more initially.
yeah,
But for the average person who maybe needs to drop between, I don't know, let's say 20 and let's say 10 to 50 pounds,
yeah.
like a pound a week is perfectly fine. Um, I don't even know where I was going with that.
No, but I mean, that would be huge though to lose 10 to 50 pounds. I mean, 50 pounds in a year is a lot.
It's a lot.
I mean, well, I would much rather go the slow, steady route than you do these extremes and you have this big weight drop, boom, and you're like, oh, and then you can't sustain it, and then you come back and you've gained it all back plus some, and then just yo-yoing like you were talking about earlier. But
Well, and then like with weight loss too, there comes a point, okay? And I'm going to share my personal experience here. When I started my journey, I was 206 pounds. And a year later, I was 155 pounds. So I lost like what, 55 pounds, 50 pounds, something like that in a year. But, I reached my quote unquote goal weight of 155 pounds and I hated how I looked. It did not solve all my problems getting to that weight, to that number on the scale. And do you know why that was? Because
yes, so you didn't do any resistance training.
because I didn't do any strength training because I was so afraid of getting bulky that I didn't lift weights. So when I lost weight, yeah, the scale was like the number was smaller, but my body was still exactly
The same.
the same. Like, of course, like I didn't have as much body fat like in my midsection. My boobs were smaller. My chins, like I only had one of them. But like, I got to that point where it was like, I wasn't happy with myself because I didn't look the way that I thought I would look at that weight.
Right.
And that's because I didn't have all those habits in place, like strength training regularly to keep my muscle mass and help keep my metabolism, at a higher rate.
Yeah, I think with a lot of these extremes and stuff is everyone just to have a realistic. They don't set realistic goals in a doable time frame or in a healthy time frame because they see these extremes on social media. They see the transformation. They're like, oh wow, but you don't know what extremes. A lot of times they were like competitors and they went to super extremes for this. And they're not going to walk around and live at that new look that was just for a day. But you get in your head like, oh, this person did this in so many days. I want to do that and like do all the extremes, and then you get there and you're like, oh my god, I feel terrible. I'm barely eating. I'm tired all the time. My hormones are jacked up. I can't poop. Um, all these things. I have no balance in life. I have no social life. I have no family life. I'm performing terrible at work. All these things.
Yeah.
And so you're like, fuck it, and you stop, and then you come right back because you haven't worked on your habits. You haven't changed any like
You haven't worked on the relationship with yourself, your mindset, your relationship with food,
or
you
with
know.
training and all. You haven't found that balance of what can you do and it not be and you can repeat it each week. Each week, like it's like it fits in your schedule. You can do it. It's not detrimental. It doesn't impede on your marriage or your kid time or whatever.
Yeah, if you're getting started and you're doing nothing and then tomorrow you start working out, 6 days a week, you have to think, is this going to be sustainable, past 4 to 8 weeks? Like, am I going to keep this up? If not, don't do it.
Yeah.
Go for something, that's more sustainable for you. Like, there's nothing wrong with starting off with 3 days a week.
There's nothing wrong with staying at 3 days a week.
There's not. We have plenty of clients who work out 3 days a week, and that is perfect. Like
I,
that is a perfect balance. They follow through, they hit their workouts because it's doable. Like it's 3 days, they're in the gym for an hour or less, and they get it done.
and they get stronger. Their body changes. They're able to put energy and stuff into some of these other habits for the because that's where all the change happens. It's not in these little workouts. Like those help,
It's
but
the
the
stuff that you do
it's
every
just
day.
it's the stuff that you do throughout your normal day with getting movement and drinking enough water and taking care of yourself, make sure you're eating the right things or supplementing if you need to,
Getting enough steps,
getting enough sleep,
getting enough sleep. That's a big one.
and I would much rather somebody just stay at 3 days a week and because I've seen it go bad. I've seen somebody come in, kill it at 3 days a week, and then they just get this itch like I have to do more, have to do more, have to do more. And they were doing great with 3 days for a long time. And as soon as we bump up to like one more day,
It throws everything off.
it's like the house of cards. It just like
And then it's like once they bump up, they like teaching seasons too is hard because like you and I know that, sometimes we might be really gung ho and we might do 5 days a week. But then there's times where maybe life has a bigger priority. We're doing things, kids' sports, running the business, whatever. And we might have to drop to 3 or 4 days, and know that that's okay. So teaching that you have seasons in this journey is also like, and not just teaching, but understanding that you have seasons is also important because you have to know that sometimes like fitness can be your priority and then other times maybe it's not and maybe you don't get in as much, but it doesn't mean that you're not still doing a good job.
right. Yeah.
You have to be able to pivot and adjust. It's my favorite thing. I always
Yeah.
say pivot.
You love pivot, but it's true though. I mean, life is always going to change. It's always going to show up. There's going to be emergencies. There's going to be family things. There's going to be work things. There's going to be kid things. The house is going to get effed up. There's going to be a plumbing. You're going to have a water pipe bust. There's going to be shit that just
Yeah.
shows up.
The water pipe's going to bust while you're on vacation,
Dog,
by the way.
dogs run away and escape, and
And
you find
fall
them in a
frozen pond.
frozen pond, and then you got to do a cold plunge out in the middle of a pond.
In
And
the Arctic storm in the south.
yeah, it's all like you can't. You can't. It's going to show up. Like you have to pivot
Yeah, it's not a
and
matter of
adjust.
if things happen, it's when.
Yeah.
So we say all this to say, like, we know that you want the sexy thing, you want the thing that you're going to see results in now, and that's all fine and dandy, but you have to know how to come out of that. If you're going to do some extreme shit, what's your plan? Like, what do you do when you reach your goal or when you can't keep up anymore? What's your plan then?
Yeah.
If you don't work on the changes, the long-term changes, your lifestyle changes, like we said earlier, like getting enough sleep, drinking enough fluids, getting in enough daily movement,
You
being
building up your support system around you too, like having those people that you can confide in and talk to when like you may be struggling with this stuff or you may need some guidance or whatever. I mean,
it's all important.
it's all important.
So the fastest way really ends up being the slow way
It's
because
the turtle.
all this time that you spend going from one thing to the next, you do this thing, you drop some weight, you gain it back, and then 5 pounds, and then you do something else, and the same cycle happens. And then before you know it, you're up really 20
Yeah.
pounds from where you originally started.
Yeah, and you're
When this whole time you could have been dropping a half a pound to a pound a week, just doing it the sustainable way, and then you would have been down 20 plus pounds from where you started.
yeah,
So,
you go through these extremes and you in that extreme like you lost some muscle mass and then you come back and you never rebuilt it possibly. I'm not saying you didn't, but you could have, and then you go through another extreme. Now you've lost the muscle mass again and you haven't ever done anything to build it back up. So like your body fat, like you're just getting worse.
yeah.
It's just getting worse every cycle. Anyway, slow way is the way.
Slow and steady. And that's what they always say, like slow and steady wins the race. And this isn't a race, this is life. You have to live your life for the rest of your life. So doing slow and steady, like you have time. If you're our age and you're in your 30s, even if you're approaching 40,
Woo. You know what?
like
think
you
I'm
still
doing all
have
right.
time. And whatever you do now is going to improve the quality of your life later when you're retired and your kids are grown and out of the house and it's just you and your sexy spouse and
Mm.
you guys get to travel or do whatever that you like to do and have fun together, but you get to do those things actively without, using a walker or a wheelchair or without having a breathing machine or whatever. Like you can do these things in a healthy way because you took care of your body when you were younger. And it's not too late. Like if you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever, like it's never too late to start.
Yeah, that's true. Like that, I have a whole lot of life I want to keep doing. I want to keep living. There's a lot of stuff I have never done, and like I want to do those things.
Well,
And
and I mean, I feel like we're just getting started together too. So it's like
yeah,
I don't want to spend like our years together not like being ill, you
yeah.
know? And I don't mean like a cold ill. I mean like, lifestyle diseases like diabetes or whatever. Like I want to
You know what? Like I want to go see a waterfall, and you got to hike through the woods to get to it. You know, I want to be able to walk through the woods to be able to see this waterfall, and I'm gonna do it.
you
You know
should
what?
probably start working on your cardio.
I don't. You know what? My man genetics, my primal genes will kick in and will get me there. But anyway, I'm not racing up to the waterfall. I'm just going to get to the waterfall. I didn't say like we had like a time limit. I don't know why everything's got to be a race to you. By the way, if anybody wants to know, I would totally whoop her ass in
No,
a
you
foot
wouldn't.
race.
We've already discussed this. We don't need to bring them into our
It would take like
argument.
5 of her steps for one of mine. Just
I have sprinter legs. I will smoke you.
sprinter legs.
I do have sprinter legs. Have you seen? Go look up sprinters. Look up Olympic sprinters and look at their legs and tell me what they
You know
look
what?
like.
Look up a giraffe because that's me. Just galloping. Oh my god. Anyway, this is just a little peek into our everyday life. We're always talking shit and it's all in fun. But we're also very competitive. So like we'll talk shit. We'll kind of play it out a little
Yeah,
bit.
but I'm gonna win.
Yeah. That's what losers always say.
Well, we'll see. We'll see who's winning here in a minute because we have a little client competition going on, and Team Britt's gonna come in
Oh,
strong.
speaking of all that, Brittany has finished updating our website. I really encourage everybody to go check it out. She's worked her butt off for a long time getting all this set up. Transformwithphoenix.com. It's amazing. There's you can see some client transformations. We also have some new coaching options and our app only option, our client resources,
Hmm.
group coaching. Like there's a lot new on the site.
Yeah, you totally got to the shameless plugs before we finished wrapping up the topic of the episode.
Well, that's how you gotta do it.
No.
That's why they throw the commercials in like in the middle of the show because you're just like, I can't leave.
Oh, so you have to listen to it before.
Now back to your paid presentation, Brittany.
Anyways, to sum it all up, stop trying to cheat the system, stop trying to find the shortcuts. Just go with the process. It's the long way, but it's actually the shortest and fastest way. You will feel better long term. You will get stronger. You will be like our client, Deely, who's hauling her big soil bags in her garden and carrying heavy shit all by herself with no help in her mid 60s.
Or Bonnie doing pull-ups at the gym.
Yep. Or James' client, Bonnie, doing pull ups, even if it wasn't a chin up all over the bar, like doing a pull up in your 50s is awesome.
Oh, I'm counting it. Like
We
that
got
was close.
we got Kathy, who is she's coming up into her retirement years, and she came to me wanting to get stronger. She's dropped 30 pounds, changed her body composition, learned how to fuel her body, but also has fun on the weekends. You know,
What about Stacy? You know, she's a mom who takes care of her family, and she's dropped over 20 something pounds, and she was so shy about working out, going to a gym. she started off with just body weight and dumbbells, and now she's doing all the big lifts
Yeah,
and
barbell back squats. She gets her steps in by getting up from her desk and walking around the
yeah,
office.
misses no excuse. That's what she is.
Yep. So if there's a will, there's a way. And once you learn this way, you'll wonder why you never did it, why it took you so long to do it. I know that was always my thought, was like, I wish I would have done this sooner. And I mean, I still did it like in my 30s, but I wish I would have done it sooner.
Me too.
Actually, was it 30? No, because riders.
But it feels like the end result, like we talk about the transformation and losing X amount of pounds. That's all great. But the way watching someone the way their mentality and the way they feel about themselves and how their body feels differently after like doing these daily things.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
I mean,
It's the
like to
coolest
help
part of it.
people lose weight, but in the process, working with clients, like we shift focus away from the weight. We don't want that to be the sole focus. And so when we're done with a client, we can be like, yeah, they lost X amount of pounds, but what really changed was their mindset, their relationship with food, the way that they look at themselves and they talk to themselves, and just their outlook on fitness and nutrition. Like a lot of people feel like I got to do more, 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 and then they're like, I'm doing enough.
Yeah, and even sometimes like health markers with like blood work and
Medications,
medication
that's a
coming off
big
of
one.
medications and those
We
those are the huge things.
like being on medications. I mean, a lot of my clients are, middle aged, to retirement age women.
Mature.
Yeah, they're mature and they're awesome. And one of the great things is like they might be on medications, but because they make lifestyle changes and they see these health markers improve, like cholesterol or blood pressure, even like some of our diabetic ladies, like I've had a couple of my diabetic ladies, like one of them came completely off insulin because she was making, you know, better choices for her body. And then like another one came off of several medications because hers was higher. And then, another client came off multiple blood pressure medications. So the lifestyle changes can really improve the quality of your life.
And not just that, coming off those medications, I know they feel better. Every medication has a side effect. Like you don't feel good taking medicine.
Yeah.
I've never felt good taking medicine. Like it may help with whatever this I have going on, but they all have some side effect to them.
Yeah.
But yes, it's a beautiful process that I hope that nobody rushes through. Is the beauty of it is in that journey and of working on yourself for yourself
And realizing that it's not like okay, we go through 4 weeks of boot camp and then bam, our life has changed forever.
and then
Like if you don't
you're done.
continue to make those changes and do the slow work, it won't ever stick.
Exactly.
So that's pretty much the gist of what we're talking about today. We hope it helps. As far as the podcast next week, it's unsure if we'll be able to record one or not. We are going out of town, so we'll have to wait and see what happens when we come back.
Yeah.
It might be a day late like last week.
But we might be gone and we get a topic in our head and we just do it.
Yeah.
So we'll just play by ear.
Yep. So we hope y'all have a great rest of your week and hope y'all enjoy this topic. And as always, if you have topic ideas, if there's something that you would like us to cover, then, send us an email, coaches@transformwithphoenix.com. You can go to our website and fill out the contact form on there. You can reach out to us on social media, on Instagram, in the Facebook group, Macros, Mindset, and Muscles for Women.
Or tag us in something. Like we love to get some feedback or if you got some ideas, anything like that. Like we want to cover topics that you want to hear.
Yeah. So don't be shy, If you like what you hear and you listen to us regularly, we know that there's a bunch of you. So please, don't forget to leave us a 5-star review, little 5-star like thing.
Yeah, and if you
Leave a
listen to
comment,
it,
share us with a friend.
if you
Help us
listen,
grow.
yeah, and if you listen to it and you didn't like it, leave us a 5-star review and check out the next episode. And yeah, well, If you didn't like it, you probably won't like the next one, but we'll appreciate the review.
All right. Well, we hope y'all have a great rest of your week, and we are out.
Out.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Macros, Mindset, and Muscles. Until next time,
I'm James.
I'm Brittany. We're out.